Hey guys, it's me again. It's just about 3:30 in the morning. Here, I can show you. See? I'm a little tired, but sometimes I do this when I have a chance to. I'm kind of aiming for about 20 minutes from now, about 3:40. That's where I'm really trying to do. But I figured while I got a little time, I'll tell you a little story. This was a pretty pivotal one back when I was 11. At this point, I was no longer on the farm. Parents had split, and it was around that time, so there was a lot of issues being biracial at that time. For me personally, not much, with my family, not like that, not in-house. But it was pretty consistent, and there was a good bit of seclusion. There's lots of sketchbooks. I'm not trying to get on the back parts. I'm just describing where I was at that time. So as we were moving here and there for a little bit, because we were settling, we were going from one area, one town to another, and at that same time, with my school, I was leaving where I was for the beginning of the year to about halfway of the year in the one town, and then in the other town it was the second half of that grade. And at this school, a teacher of mine, I don't want to say her name, but she was there one day during class when there was a few kids that were, we had 3 recesses, and there was 3 of them, and they each wanted a piece of me, but they were arguing on which recess they were going to do it. And by now I was familiar with this rhetoric, so I knew there was going to be a couple more patterns that were going to happen. And I was verbally trying to communicate to them that I was new, didn't have any interest in pursuing any conflict. That didn't really work. It seemed to pour gas on their fire, so I was kind of retreated internally and was kind of just sitting there thinking, okay, geez, where can I go? Where can I be? After this class is lunch, I gotta scarf my food down quick, get outside, and find a place where I could see them coming, or, I had to have a strategy. I'm 11 at this point, so it was already like that. So, and that persisted until high school. So, this wasn't any point of it being over. But the good part that came from it was this. On this particular day, that particular class, they sat right around me. It was the guy in front of me, the guy to my left, and the guy in front of him. So, and I was near the back of the class, so this could happen without it being noticed, I guess. I don't know what it was that got her attention. But during that, she said, I want you to stay after school today. So I'm thinking, geez, I'm going to get in trouble for, did I do bad on a test? I'm thinking I'm going to get my butt kicked and I'm in trouble. So it wasn't a great day. So after that class was social studies. Right, and I was like the new kid, so I really didn't know anybody. So I got out of class, ate as quick as I could, ran outside, and then it was one of those kind of like elementary school where there was part of it was like the earlier grades, like on the other half of the building, other half of the school. So we were on one side, the younger kids were on the other, and my brother's a few grades below me. So when we were out on recess, he was supposed to be, I guess, in class. So I just walked all the way around to his side, and I figured that way I could see him coming from either way. And yeah, yeah, the guy in front of me came up with his group of people, and pushing and stuff. And this isn't part of the important part. I'm just letting you know more details so you know that I'm not just making this up. Well, he was pushing me and I ended up DDTing this kid on the concrete. Well, because I had glasses, I didn't want to break them. And while it was happening, the younger kids' recesses started, so they all started pouring out. My brother comes, picks up my glasses and sees me there. He's like, what are you doing? I wasn't trying to do it. I was just trying not to get hurt. So I figured if I just laid on his head, he couldn't hurt me. And he didn't. And then I just waited there till a lady came, to break it up. Anyway, that was that guy's day. And then it was like springtime, it was like getting nice weather, so it was maybe the school year was almost over, I don't know. Maybe it was near the end, I'm not sure. Because not long after this, I was in a different school, so there was just this little brief time at this school. So there was a small window of time for this to even happen, and it only happened once. It was only one day. I'll get to a lot of information, but this only happened one day after school. Okay, so now this class is done, school's done, everyone's grabbing their stuff. I get to my locker, I'm like ready to leave. I'm thinking, oh geez, I gotta get out of here. That guy's gonna be waiting for me. And I thought, oh geez, I gotta go to class. That way, I can sit in there for a while. He'll get bored, he'll leave, and I can get home. So I go to the class, door's a little open, and she's sitting right in front of her desk. There's a row right next to the wall. It's a row of windows, and there's one of those old heaters that's right next to the wall. That I sat on it. It was a little. I had like half my seat on it, and I had my backpack on, and I just sat. And she was sitting sideways, in those old desks where the top is attached to the arm part, and you just kind of slide in, right? It might have the lift, right? One of those. Right, so she's just sitting in there. There's like 4 rows of lights. Every other light's on. So it's like halfway lit. I come in, she says, come on in, close the door. I come walking in. I sit on the heater. And no, she's right in front of me here, facing me, sitting sideways in the chair. And I'm thinking, what did I do? And then she starts to tell me that basically we only use like 10% of our minds. and that 90% basically sits in our heads our whole life until we find a way how to use it. And that the two easiest places for us to use our energies is in our hands and this spot between your eyes, your third eye. And I didn't really know what she was talking about, so I was just listening. And I don't have a complete memory of this, but because some of it was beyond me, so I was just kind of confused, like, oh, I'm not in trouble. But I remember she had on her desk, she had a skull, like a plastic skull. Like you could take off the back of the skull and you could take out the brain. And she brought it over and she pointed all the parts that we use. And she was naming them and told me what it does. I don't remember what they all were. I was being bombarded. I was like, what was this? I thought I was in trouble. And then she said, okay, you see the rest of it? And I was like, yeah, I see it. And she's like, is that bigger or less than what we use? And it looked like it was a lot more. And she's like, yeah. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I still don't know how. How do you do that, you know? And she made me kind of sit and like put my hands like this and kind of point it into my chest, right? Just kind of push it in just a little bit till you can feel your heartbeat, right? Just point your fingers in and just breathe. Right? You can feel your heartbeat and you can feel your breathing. Are you thinking about it? That's what she asked me. And I was like, no, I'm not thinking about it. I was like, but it keeps happening. And she says, yeah. And she said, the energy behind that action is what makes you alive. And the two easiest places to use it is in your hands and that spot between your eye. Okay? And she also had the sides and a top of a cardboard box, okay? And she had a piece of string with a paper clip hanging, and it was just sitting there. And she brought it to her desk, and she's sitting like this, and it's just sitting there, and it's just sitting still because she's talking to me. And the only thing weird is what she's telling me, because I didn't know where it was coming from. And I'm trying to just think quick if she said anything else really specific like that. But I know by the time she got the box, I was kind of sitting there thinking about what she was saying. And she turned and was sitting really straight backed. And she had her hands on her knees, okay? And she was just staring at the paperclip. And by the time I realized that she was looking at it, I was sitting next to her. And she was this far away from me. And she's staring at the paperclip, and within a couple of seconds, like if this is the string and this is the paperclip, it started to kind of just, it slowly started to like do small circles. And then it was like, after like a minute or so, it was like out at an angle, like that. And it wasn't dangling on its own momentum to be at that angle. It was at that angle, but it was a slow, controlled movement. And it just kept going. But when I first saw it moving, I was like, how are you doing that? I was like, that's a trick. How are you doing that? And she didn't say anything. And she just stayed still. And I'm thinking that she's blowing on it. Or she's moving the desk. It's a trick, right? But by the time I could see it basically defying gravity, it was like pulled tight and it was out. And it was just moving in a circle. But very slow and controlled. And by then I was looking around like, okay, the doors are closed, the heaters are off, the windows are shut. I'm like, it still hadn't clicked about what she was saying. But by the time I couldn't think of anything of why it was happening, it kind of was freaking me out a little bit, so I kind of backed off. Like, it made me a little nervous. And then she stopped. And she asked me if I wanted to know how to do that. And I was so impressed by seeing it. I was shocked. I was like, you could say I can do that? I was like, if you think so. I was like, I'll try. So I sat where she was, and I'm looking at the paperclip, and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. And so, sitting on to the side, she verbally helped me to clear my mind so I didn't have active thoughts going on, right? By basically picture a circle in the sand and then picture a wave washing it away. And as it's that being your thoughts. And then if the wave washes it away, just let it be away, if you can. So I just kept repeating the wave every time I tried to have a thought. I just let it wash away. And everything else was about the five senses. That's the hard part. Because you've been doing it your whole life. You've been taking them granted for a long time, since infancy. So we have them, but we don't really know how to use them, right? But what it came down to basically was, if you can feel your energy, like if you sit how she was kind of sitting, like straight back, somewhere where your arms could be, somewhere where you can have a space in between your hands, where you can make that space kind of the focus, and just let your, like overlap your senses, right? With your breathing, you can feel your heartbeat. You can feel the weight of your clothes on your skin. You can feel the air around your body. You can feel your whole being. Each layer that you allow yourself the sense, you're going to feel something from that sense. So hold on to that feeling and then take the next sense, like sight, and relax your focus so that everything has the same focus, right? And just see everything you can see, hear everything you can hear, feel everything you can feel. And all these things heighten your sense of self, not your idea of self or want of self, but what you actually, you hear that? You didn't have to think about that. You don't have to wait to hear it. You hear now. You feel now, right? Emotions are different. I'm talking feel, I mean sense. But when you can kind of overlap all of your senses, and when you put that together, like with your right hand, try to push that whatever you're feeling from those senses out towards your other hand, and with the other hand out towards the other one. And when you do it, and you get the right level of concentration and focus and the right sense, it'll feel like a magnet. And it'll start with your hands. And I don't know if it has something to do with your electromagnetic system. Probably. I don't know. But I know once it starts in one spot from you, you can spread it all throughout you. And it can radiate from you. And as that kind of projects out from you, you can direct it with your sense of sight and your hands. There's probably a whole lot more to it, but this is basically what she told me. And I sat there, and once I felt that magnet, I've been playing with magnets ever since I was little, fascinated, wondering how I don't see it. How is it doing that, right? But I never felt that with my just bare hands. But that day I did. And once I felt that, I kind of thought, whoa, there must be something to what she's saying. So then I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to try. And I was staring at the paperclip, trying to picture it turning a certain direction. I don't think I blinked, but she said she saw it twitch. And so I kind of was like, all right, well. And then she didn't have much more time after that, but she wanted me to remember that and kind of keep that to myself, right? But she didn't say keep it to yourself. She was just practice it, and sooner or later I'll get it. And I was just like, whoa. But I was so blown away by seeing what she did with it that plus her encouragement of saying she saw it twitch gave me hope. And I, some days, Valentine's Day or Halloween where there's things hanging up, some blowing from the heaters and some that weren't. And I was kind of always a daydreamer anyway. So I'd be sitting there watching the ones that weren't. I'd be trying to do it, or just finding ways to try to practice it. I used to have like a thumbtack against the wall with like a paperclip dangling just a little bit off the wall. But however, I've had ones in a jar with the lid and it's hanging from the lid. You could sit on the table. But a long time ago, got Kamifusen, and that's how I like to practice it. It's yeah, it's hopefully something. I'll probably make this one a little short so it's not so long to upload, and then I'll make another one where I'll get into it a little bit more. That's the story of staying after school. And yeah, got out of school, got my bike, got home, and it was so weird. I never dared to tell anybody till I understood something about it. But it wasn't until wasn't until like college before I figured it out. But I was going a lot of the wrong directions for a long time, so there's no instruction manual, right? So it's difficult. But yeah, talk to you soon.